No, madam. Here we have already the participants more. Okay, so we are having
Sajjad sir. ಇದು ಸಜ್ಜದ್ ಸರ್. ಸಜ್ಜದ್ ಸರ್.
ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಾವು ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲವು ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Good morning, one and all. I hope you can all hear me. Well, before we proceed with the FDP, we have a few general instructions to be followed. It is especially for the participants. Dear participants, kindly keep your mics and the video muted throughout the session. Do not unmute your video and audio, please. The question and queries with regard to the session should be asked only after the end of the presentation by the resource person. Please fill in the feedback form using the link sent through WhatsApp group, and only those who submit the feedback form will be issued an e-certificate via email. Please do not interrupt in between the ongoing sessions for the smooth progress of the session. Kindly find yourselves in a quiet place so that you are not disturbed and the resource person is also not disturbed. Thank you.
Good morning to all. A smile is a while, and while you smile, you travel a mile. A pleasant morning to all the participants to the National Level Faculty Development Program on New Performance Appraisal System and Career Advancement Scheme. At the very outset, I would like to extend a warm welcome to the resource person of the online webinar, Professor Sajjad K, NAC Coordinator, Department of Collegiate Education. Sir is a well-known resource person who has conducted and chaired several national and state level seminars across the country. A warm welcome to you, sir. I would also like to welcome Professor Samya Irapake, Principal, Sheshadipram Degree College, Mysore. A heartily welcome to all the participants from the different parts of the country who are taking part in the online faculty development program. You all the best and extend you a warm welcome. I request the resource person take over the session. Welcome, sir.
Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good morning. First, let me at the outset thank the principal, staff, and our organizing team of Sheshadripuram College for having organized this national seminar. I would also like to welcome the participants across the country. Is my screen visible, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir, it is audible, sir. You can go on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir. It is visible.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Video,
Video is also visible, sir.
both audio and video.
Yes,
Can you
both,
hear me?
both is visible, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Thank you. First, let me talk about the new performance appraisal system. Friends, as we know that UGC constituted a committee under the leadership of Professor V.S. Chauhan for this new performance appraisal system and career advancement scheme. Professor V.S. Chauhan's team submitted the report to MHRD in the month of November. MHRD wrote a letter to UGC secretary to frame regulations regarding the new performance appraisal system with amendments as and when it is needed. Before taking up this new performance appraisal system and career advancement scheme, let me talk about the pre-API era and API era. We all know that UGC was established way back in 1956. UGC did not have any direct contact with the degree college. As the nomenclature itself indicates, University Grants Commission, it used to deal only with universities. But with the passage of time, when the UGC scale was extended to UG colleges and PG colleges, it came out with a clear-cut and well-defined self-appraisal system. The first phase was the self-appraisal system. We did not have academic performance indicators and the weightages. The second stage was academic performance indicators and the weightage. Let me share my presentation. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Let me talk about why the API scheme was abolished by UGC and MHRD. As we all know, the API scheme and career advancement scheme was introduced by UGC in 2010. The prime reason for the abolishment of API is academic performance indicators framework gave more weightage for quantity and not quality research publications. All the teachers across the country just to secure arts for API kept on publishing more and more number of substandard articles. So the output is more than the anticipation of the UGC, which means every Tom, Dick, and Harry went on publishing only substandard quality articles. Please don't get me wrong, because uh, it is not used in a derogatory sense, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I use it primarily because UGC has been keeping an ever vigilant eye on whatever we do in general and the articles we publish in particular. So, correspondingly, there was an increase in the number of substandard journals. And the teachers are very smart in outsmarting any UGC regulation or government order. So we started to organize seminars to give participants a chance to enhance API score. The very rationale behind conducting or organizing any level of seminar, be it state level, national level, or international level, is to provide an opportunity for the faculty members to update their domain specific discipline, to upscale their digital skills, and to enhance a high degree of linguistic proficiency. So instead of doing this, we started organizing seminars with the sole intention of give our teachers or participants a chance to enhance API score. The books brought out as compendiums of seminars deteriorated substandard publications. So mushrooming of peer-reviewed journals. We started forming coteries. We started forming groups, and we started to publish our articles in our own journals. Those journals do not meet the standard expected by the UGC. Another annoying factor is that whenever a teacher submits a paper to be edited, reviewed, accepted, and published, the organizing team was ready to accept and publish every paper was distressing. So the bottom line is we made it a big farce. We started conducting seminars only to give an opportunity to the participant to enhance his API score. We started publishing our articles in order to improve our API, and more number of peer-reviewed journals started coming up. So this was one of the reasons why API was abolished. So there is a decline in the quality of research. Our universities do not emphasize on the quality research. Most of our universities, particularly state universities, give top priority to teaching, not research. So there is a gradual decline in quality research output. research publications and the research projects. Let me talk a brief while about the minor research projects and the major research projects. The financial assistance that we receive from UGC. UGC has gone to the extent of stopping any financial assistance to minor research project or major research project because they say most of the minor research projects submitted by us are almost like project work submitted by final year BBM or BBS students. But fortunately, UGC does not have bureaucrats and most of them are academicians, so they never ever let down the teachers. This is one of the reasons why APA scheme has been abolished. So Professor V.S. Chauhan's report has emphasized teaching, learning, and evaluation as one of the most important indicators. Look at the title, criteria for assessment of the performance of college teachers for career advancement scheme. The first one is teaching, learning, and evaluation. The commitment to teaching based on observable indicators. Look at the difference between API of 2010 and the new performance appraisal system of 2018. In 2010, we did have academic performance indicators, but at the same time, we also did have weightages. But in this new performance appraisal system, there are indicators, and these indicators can be observed by anyone, either by your colleagues or by HOD or by head of the institution. The point I would like to drive home here is that even in new performance appraisal system, we do have academic performance indicators minus weightage. We do not have weightage, but there is only rating. So look at these observable indicators as pointed out by Professor V.S. Chauhan, being regular to class. So this is also one indicator, but this indicator does not carry any marks or weightage, but it can be observed pretty easily by anyone, anytime. Punctuality to class is also one of the indicators. Remedial teaching. First, we have to chalk out a clear-cut and well-devised mechanism to identify the slow learners and the fast learners, and the slow learners actually need this remedial teaching. This is also one of the indicators. Clarifying doubts within and outside the class hours. So this actually we need to make a self-introspection of ourselves, whether we have been actually doing this or not. All depends upon the teacher and the student ratio. Counseling is also one of the indicators. Mentoring is also one of the indicators. Additional teaching to support the college as and when the need arises. So look at this. Additional teaching to support the college as and when the need arises. So this need of additional teaching does not arise always. This need of additional teaching arises only when I go for refresher course, orientation course, faculty development program, or short-term course. If I go for a refresher course of 21 days, students suffer a lot. Suppose if a department consists of 4 faculty members, in the absence of one teacher who has been to UGC, HRDC for one of the refresher courses, if the remaining 3 teachers engage additional teaching hours, it counts a lot. Additional teaching does not mean taking special classes or extra classes regularly, because this need doesn't arise always. This arises only when faculty members of any discipline go for personal development programs or faculty development programs. So look at these indicators. Let me reiterate this again and again, because we are quite prone to the prevalent or the existing API system wherein we do have weightage, but in new performance appraisal system, we do have indicators, but no weightage or score. Teaching, learning, and evaluation. So examination is a part and parcel of a teacher's profession. Evaluation activities. This is also one of the indicators. Examination, supervision duties, question paper setting, university level or college exams, participation in evaluation of examination, answer scripts, conducting exams for internal assessment as per the schedule, returning and discussing the answers in the class. So this may not be, I know the limitations of this. This is possible only in those colleges where the student teacher ratio is very less. If the student teacher ratio is more than 100, probably it may not be possible for all the faculty members to return all the internal assessment paper or value internal assessment papers and discuss the answers in the classroom. So, but this is one of the indicators. This is applicable especially to 2017 batch, and at the same time, this new performance appraisal system is also applicable for those who are yet to get their promotion to associate professor and principal post. Second one is personal development related to teaching and research activities. Personal development means capacity development of the teacher. Once I get a secured, salaried, permanent post, I tend to reach saturation point pretty soon. I never ever voluntarily think of updating myself, upscaling myself, enhancing my linguistic proficiency. So UGC established nearly 67 academic staff colleges across the country in the 10th plan with the sole purpose of providing an opportunity for the teachers for their personal development or capacity development by going orientation course, refresher course, methodology courses, development of e-contents and MOOCs, organizing seminars, conferences, workshops, sharing of sessions, presentation of papers, guiding and carrying out research projects, publishing the research output in national and international journals. So, criteria for assessment of the performance of college teachers for career advancement scheme. The third aspect is administrative support. So out of as and when the need arises, whatever the administrative work is assigned by the head of the institution, we have to do it because this is one of the key indicators in this new performance appraisal system. Participation in students' co-curricular and extracurricular activities. So this is also one of the most significant duties of a faculty member of any discipline. Look at the assessment process in new performance appraisal system. There are 3 steps. Step 1, teachers shall submit to college an annual self-appraisal report in a prescribed performa, and this has to be designed based on Appendix 2, Table 1. So let me show you Appendix 2, Table 1. Look at this Appendix 2, Table 1. Sir, is it visible? Sir, is it visible?
Sir, no, sir, it is not visible, sir.
No, no.
Right. This is not visible, Chairman.
Sir,
Wait. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir, it is visible.
sir,
Sir.
now is it visible?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
it is visible. Sir.
So this is the new Appendix to Table 1, Assessment Criteria and Methodology for University and College Teachers. Just have a good look at the pro forma of the new performance appraisal system. This is entirely different from the academic performance indicator pro forma that we have been submitting. First one is activity, teaching. Number of classes taught divided by total classes assigned into 100%. Look at the grading criteria. 80% and above, good. Below 80%, but 70% and above, satisfactory. Less than 70%, not satisfactory. Please pay special attention to this in the prevalent or the existing API system. We do have this indicator, but here we have to score 50 marks. Weightage is given. But in the new performance appraisal system, just look at this. We do not have any weightage, but only grading. 80% and above, good. Below 80%, but 70% satisfactory, less than 70% not satisfactory. How to calculate this one, 80% and above? Let me show it. Sir, is this visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, visible, sir.
Okay. Look how to calculate this one. Let me show you. Look at this.
Sir, no, sir, now it is not visible.
It's not visible?
No,
Okay.
sir.
Wait.
not visible.
Wait.
Yeah, sir. Now it is visible, sir.
Okay. Look at this. How to calculate it? In 2010 UGC guidelines, in page number 59, it is given in the revised final July 2018 regulations, it is given in page number 50. Look at this teaching learning process for colleges, 180 days. 180 days, working days. We have to conduct classes at least 180 working days. So 1 week means 6 working days. Teaching learning process 180 days, admission, exam preparation 10 weeks, vacation 10 weeks, public holidays 2 weeks, total 52 weeks. So pay special attention to this one, 180 days. How to calculate this one? Is this slide visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Is
Visible,
this
sir.
slide visible?
Yes, sir.
Look at this. Look at this. Number of working days 180. Number of working weeks 30. Workload per week for arts and commerce teachers is 16. For science teachers, it is 20. For year, 30 into 16 for 80. 80% means at least a permanent faculty has to conduct classes 380. Look at this calculation. Number of classes allotted or assigned is 480 hours. Minimum 80% is 384. Okay, let me go back to that pro forma. Appendix 1 ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ. Sir, is this visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay. So this is how we have to calculate this one. Number of classes taught, total classes assigned. Total classes assigned is 484. Number of classes taught is 384. If it 80% and above means grading is good. Below 80% but 70% and above satisfactory. Less than 70% not satisfactory. Look at another indicator. Involvement in the university or college, involvement in student related activities and research activities. Another indicator, administrative responsibilities such as, so this pro forma is applicable to university teachers also. So there are some indicators that are not applicable to UG teachers. Please ignore them. For instance, chairperson is not applicable to UG colleges. Dean is not applicable to UG colleges. Director is not applicable to UG colleges. Examination and evaluation duties assigned by the college or university. My sincere and serious suggestion to newcomers is that please keep on filing whatever the work is assigned in the form of writing, be it administrative assistance, be it involvement in curricular activities, or be it involvement in co-curricular activities, or be it question paper setting or evaluation, central evaluation. Student participation of a faculty member of any discipline in student-related activities such as co-curricular activities and extension activities. These are all the observable indicators. Field-based activities such as student clubs, career counseling, study visits, student seminars, other events like cultural, sports, NSS, NCC, and community services. Another indicator is organizing seminars, conferences, workshops, other college activities. So if your college is recognized as a research center, whether you are a PhD guide or a supervisor, it is also one of the indicators. Conducting research projects. If we get any financial assistance from any funding agency across the country, because there are many 20 funding agencies in India. Usually we think of only UGC. Many of us think that UGC is the only funding agency. No, there are nearly 20 funding agencies. Organizing national and international agencies. This is one of the most important indicator. UGC expects all faculty members to get promotion under new performance appraisal system in career advancement scheme is at least one publication, single or joint publication in peer-reviewed, refereed, or UGC list journals. UGC doesn't expect not more than one. But my suggestion to you is that please don't be self-complacent with publishing only one article, because if you confine or restrict yourself to publish only one article, definitely it will have more far-reaching repercussions or consequences when we submit our proposals for uh, associate from associate professor to professor, which I will take up a bit later. Look at this grading. Good. There are many indicators from A to G. It does not mean that we have to involve in all of these activities. Good, involved in at least 3 activities. Here there is a list of more than 8 activities. But UGC expects us at least involved in 3 of these activities. Satisfactory in 1 or 2 activities. Not satisfactory, not involved or undertaken any of these activities. Please let me repeat this. Look at these indicators and let us now look at our involvement. If we involve in at least 3 activities, we get good grading. If we involve in 1 or 2 activities, we get satisfactory grading. If we do not involve in any of these activities, we get not satisfactory. So this pro forma has to be submitted every year. Okay. Visible ಇದೆಯಾ ಈಗ? Okay, let me come back to this. Annual Self-Appraisal Report, APAR. APA, please don't get confused. AQAR is entirely different from APAR. AQAR means Annual Quality Assurance Report that has to be submitted by either AQAC coordinator or NAC coordinator to NAC office. But this is Annual Performance Appraisal Report, APAR. The report to be submitted at the end of every academic year. Please look at the difference between the existing API scheme. In the existing API scheme, normally, if a teacher is only a PG without MPhil or PhD, he submits 6 API proposals after the lapse of 6 years. But in this new performance appraisal system, we have to submit it at the end of academic year. Please bear this in mind. Whether your HOD accepts it, entertains it, or encourages it, it doesn't matter. So you keep on preparing the proposal year-wise. We have to submit it at the end of academic year. Unlike in the previous API scheme, provide documentary evidence for the claims made. So what happens? Sometimes we make tall claims. We make big claims. We give input or data. But when it comes to submitting authentic documentary evidence, we miserably fail. If there is any discrepancy between the data provided and the documents submitted, it will not be considered because there will be a screening committee, verification by HOD or teacher in charge. Look at the difference here. In the existing API scheme, all the 6, 5, or 4, depending upon his additional qualification, If he is a PhD, if he has not climbed advanced increments at the entry level, he is eligible to get promotion for 4 years because there is 2 years service relaxation. If he is an MPhil plus net or SLET, provided he has not climbed any additional increments at the entry level, he will get first promotion for 5 years. So, in the existing API scheme, we submit 4, 5, and 6 API proposals to IQAC. But in this new performance appraisal system, we have to submit it to HOD or teacher in charge. It is a very small institution. There is only one faculty member in economics, Kannada, English, or whatever. Single faculty department. And he has to submit his own proposal. And he is the head of the department. Then he cannot verify it. He cannot screen it. The principal will have to appoint a teacher in charge to verify and to validate his proposal. Let me repeat, in the present API system, all our API proposals at the end of 6 years, 5 years, or 4 years, depending upon our qualification and additional qualification, we submit them to IQAC. But now, at the end of every academic year, we have to submit it to our HOD. HOD or teacher in charge will have to verify and validate it. The submission through HOD or teacher in charge, not to IQAC. Assessment procedure step 2, completion of required years of experience for promotion. That I will come to it a bit later. Fulfillment of other requirements. Submit an application for promotion under CAS, Career Advancement Scheme, pro forma. Step 3, a career advancement scheme promotion shall be granted as per class 6.4 of UGC regulations. Look at the first promotion. If a teacher is a newly recruited one, look at his designation and look at his academic level. A newly recruited teacher's designation is assistant professor and his academic level is 10, and he has to be promoted to assistant professor senior scale or academic level 11. Look at the eligibility criteria. Completion of 4 years of service PhD. Completion of 5 years of service MPhil. Completion of 6 years of service PG degree. Let me take up this one. If he is just PG, his eligibility criteria for appointment is either NET or SLET. So 6 years of completion of service is the eligibility criteria for his promotion. If he is a PG plus MPhil plus NET or SLET, if his eligibility criteria for appointment is NET or SLET, an MPhil holder can claim for 1 year service relaxation provided he or she has not climbed any advance increments at the entry level. A PhD holder is eligible for promotion with a service relaxation of 2 years, that means 4 years, provided NET or SLET is the eligibility criteria for his or her appointment, provided he or she has not climbed any advance increments at the entry level. A PhD holder has 3 options. PhD can be an eligibility criteria for his appointment. PhD holder can climb for advanced increments at the entry level, or a PhD holder can opt for 2 years service relaxation and get his first promotion within a short span of 4 years. But no double or no provision for double or triple benefit. If he or she has taken advanced increments at the entry level for his or her additional qualification PhD, he or she cannot claim for service relaxation. I hope I am clear to you. If you have any queries and doubts, let me clarify them at the end of this session. So another eligibility criteria is one orientation course on teaching methodology is mandatory, and any one of the following: one refresher or research methodology course, or any two of the following: short-term course, faculty development program or short-term course, or professional development program, workshop, faculty development program pertaining to syllabus upgradation workshop, or training, teaching, learning and evaluation workshop, or technology program, or faculty development programs of 1 week, 5 days. If it is a 5-day program, we have to undergo 2 faculty development programs. If it is a faculty development program of 10 days, 1 faculty development program is enough. So look at this, I have kept it in red color. If you opt for a faculty development program of 5 days, we have to undergo 2 faculty development programs. If it is a program of 12 days or 10 days, 1 faculty development program is enough. Or this is a recent phenomena, one MOOCs course with e-certification, massive open online course, or development of e-contents in 4 quadrants, or MOOCs course during the assessment period. Promotion criteria, senior scale: an assistant professor who is in academic level 10 shall be promoted to senior scale assistant professor or academic level 11 if the teacher gets satisfactory or good grade in APARs, means annual performance appraisal reports of at least 3, 4, 5 of the 4, 5, 6 years of assessment period as prescribed in Appendix 2, Table 1. We have already seen this Appendix 2, Table 1. Look at this. He or she can be promoted if a teacher gets satisfactory or good grade in 3, 4, 5, which means a faculty member who is just a PG without MPhil and PhD, he has to submit 6 APARs. Out of 6, the best 5 APARs shall be considered. An MPhil holder submits 5 APARs. The best 4 APARs shall be screened, verified, and validated for promotion. A PhD holder submits 4 APARs, and out of these 4, best 3 APRs shall be screened, verified, and validated for his or her promotion. So, a screening committee, cum evaluation committee shall be constituted. So, that committee is also being constituted in the present API scheme also. So, this is for first promotion from assistant professor to senior scale assistant professor, or academic level 10 to academic level 11. So pay fixation, we need not worry about the pay fixation because once we are promoted as senior skill assistant professor, our SR and LPC will go to AG office and AG will look into this pay fixation. Look at the second promotion, senior scale assistant professor or academic level 11 to selection grade scale assistant professor or academic level 12. Look at the eligibility criteria. Completion of 5 years of service in academic level 11 or senior scale assistant professor. In the first promotion from assistant professor to senior scale assistant professor, there was service relaxation for PhDs and MPhils. But in the second promotion, there is no service relaxation, whether he is a PG, an MPhil, or a PhD, he or she has to complete 5 years of service. Absolutely, there is no service relaxation for anyone. Suppose a teacher has been awarded with PhD degree very recently, even then he or she cannot claim for service relaxation. They can only claim for increments. Look at the eligibility criteria. Any two of the following in the last 5 years. Same, the trainings, faculty development programs, or professional development programs that one needs to undergo. Any two of the following in the last 5 years. Pre-assessment period or post-assessment period shall not be considered. Look at this in the last 5 years. Same, refresher courses, workshops, gradation. Yes. These are all the training programs that one needs to undergo. MOOCs program, either this or this one. All of these are not mandatory. Look at the choice is given, either this or this one, MOOCs program, or contribution towards development of e-content in 4 quadrants, or contribution towards development of 10 modules of MOOCs course, contribution towards conduct of a MOOCs course during the assessment period. Even if you conduct a MOOCs course program in your college, that shall also be taken into consideration. So same promotion criteria. The teacher gets satisfactory or good grade in APS of at least 4 of the last 5 years. Senior skill assistant professor will submit 5 annual performance appraisal reports. Out of 5, best of 4 will be verified, validated, and shall be promoted accordingly, depending upon his grading, either satisfactory or good. So here also we have a screening cum evaluation committee. For first promotion, we have a screening cum evaluation committee. For second promotion, we have a screening cum evaluation committee. So look at this. There are many rumors about this PhD, for whom it is mandatory. PhD is shall be mandatory qualification for. Am I audible, sir? Direct recruitment to the post of assistant professors in universities from 1/7/2021. please pay special attention to this. PhD is not mandatory for direct recruitment of teachers in UG colleges or PG colleges. PhD is mandatory for direct recruitment to the post of assistant professors only in universities, that too from 1/7/2021. Promotion PhD is mandatory for the promotion to the post of assistant professors selection grade academic level 12 in universities from 1/7/2021. So look at this. UGC in the month of February has uploaded draft regulations. In the draft regulations, the committee had recommended PhD as a mandatory qualification for the promotion to the post of assistant professors for selection grade, even in degree colleges. So please don't get confused. If you go to UGC website, you can find two regulations. One is draft regulation, which was posted on UGC website in the month of February. In the draft regulation, PhD is made mandatory for selection grade assistant professors, even in UG colleges. But UGC is full of academicians. They are always in favor of the teachers. So they have made it only PhD a mandatory qualification for university teachers, that too from 1/7/2021. But PhD is a mandatory qualification for the promotion of associate professors from 1/7/2021. So this is applicable to 2004 batch, 2007 batch, 2009 batch. Please pay special attention to this. PhD is mandatory to the promotion of associate professor from 1/7/2021, and this is applicable for 2004 batch, 2007 batch, 2008 batch, and 2009 batch, and it goes without saying it is applicable for 17 batch also. So PhD is a mandatory qualification for the promotion to professor. So look at the criteria, eligibility criteria for promotion from selection grade assistant professor for academic level 12 to associate professor, that is academic level 13A. Eligibility criteria is completion of 3 years of service in academic level 12 or selection grade. So you are a selection grade assistant professor. From selection grade to associate professor, we have to complete 3 years of service. This generation is very lucky, is fortunate, because when we got our promotion from assistant lecturer to senior scale lecturer, we need to complete 8 years of service regardless of our additional qualifications like MPhil and PhD. From senior scale to selection grade, we need to complete another 8 years of service regardless of additional qualifications like MPhil and PhD. From selection grade to associate professor, 5 years, which means I became an associate professor after the completion of 21 years of my service. But now, if an assistant professor is a PhD holder, he gets his first promotion for 4 years second promotion for 5 years, and he becomes an associate professor after the completion of 12 years of service. So this younger generation is very fortunate and very lucky, but no regrets.
ಹಿಂಗ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ
I got my. Sir, am I
It
audible?
will be visible like. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. 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 I heard some sound there. Okay.
No, sir. If people
at the
join, it will be
conditions.
the beep sound.
Okay. Any one of the following in the last 3 years: refresher course or methodology workshops, syllabus upgradation. So these are all the training programs. One is enough. From selection grade to associate professor, only one training is enough. Look at this. Any one of the following in the last 3 years. Same training programs. Look at this one. There is a small change here. Career advancement scheme promotion criteria for associate professor. He can be promoted as associate professor if the teacher gets satisfactory or good grade in annual performance appraisal reports of at least 2 of the last 3 years. A teacher submits 3 APRs out of 3, 2 will be screened, verified, and validated. Look at the difference here. For first promotion, there was only screening and evaluation committee. For selection grade also, there was only screening and evaluation committee. For associate professor, here there is a selection committee. Look at the selection committee. Principal, head of the concerned department, 2 university representatives, one shall be dean of college development council, other expert in the concerned subject, 2 subject experts not connected with the college, nominated by the principal out of a panel of 5 names recommended by vice chancellor. An academician belonging to SC, ST, OBC, minority, women, differently abled categories, if the applicant belongs to this category. Look at the selection committee: principal, head of the department, 2 university representatives, 2 subject experts. All of these committee members belong to general category. But an applicant is from SC, ST, OBC, minority, women, and differently abled category. So, in order to safeguard the interests of this category or these categories, SC, ST, OBC, and minority, it is mandatory that the selection committee should have an academician in that selection committee in order to protect or in order to safeguard the interests of the applicant. So this is a selection committee. Okay. Now let me come to associate professor, academic level 13A to academic level 14, professor. Look at the eligibility conditions. Completion of 3 years of service as associate professors. PhD is must for UG teachers. PhD degree in subject relevant, allied, relevant discipline. Minimum of 10 research publications in peer-reviewed or UGC listed journals. When I showed you the proforma, annual performance appraisal report proforma, I said that minimum 1 single or joint publication is must. Look at here. In order to be promoted from associate professor to professor, we need to publish minimum of 10 research publications in peer-reviewed or UGC listed journals. Out of these 10, but out of which 3 research papers shall be published during the assessment period. The assessment period means from associate professor to professor, 3 years. Whether you publish these 3 articles within a short span of 1 month, 1 year, or 1 each year, it doesn't matter. But 3 research papers are must. A minimum of 110 research score as per Appendix 2, Table 2. Please pay special attention to this. From assistant professor to senior scale promotion, no score was required. There was only grading. From senior scale assistant professor to a selection grade assistant professor, no score was required. From selection grade assistant professor to associate professor, no score was required. But UGC has made it mandatory for the promotion of professorship even from a UG or a PG college teacher in an undergraduate college. He or she has to secure minimum 110 research score. Let me show you the academic performance indicators and the weightage also. Is this visible, sir? Okay, can't idea. Hello.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. It is visible.
Okay. Yes. My dear friends, UGC has set high parameters and high benchmarks from each and every single one of us in order to be promoted as professor. Let me show you. This is almost like a menu card. Here is the item and here is the price. Research papers published in peer-reviewed or UGC listed journals, 10 per paper. Publications other than research papers, books authored published by international publishers, 12. All these days, we used to write a book on economics, the prescribed for either UG program, BA or BCom, and we used to claim it as if it is our publication. Now, look at the parameter or the benchmark set by UGC. Even if you author a book, it has to be published by international publication. For that, we get 12 marks. If you author a book and if it is published by a national publishing company, we get 10 marks. Chapter in edited book. So you have written a chapter in an edited book. For that, you get only 5 marks. Editor of book by international publishers. If I become an editor of a book and publish it myself in the name of my son or daughter, my brother or sister, it will not be considered. Even if I edit a book, it has to be published by an international publishing company for which I get 10 marks. Editor of book by national publishers. If I become an editor and if it is published by a national publishing company, I get 8 marks. Translation works in Indian and foreign languages. Even for translation works, we get marks. Chapter or research paper, 3 marks. If you translate a book, we get 8 marks. Suppose e-content development, MOOCs content development, we get marks. Look at the e-content development, creation of ICT mediated teaching learning pedagogy. For development of innovative pedagogy, 5 marks. Design of new curricula and courses, 2 per curricula or course. So let me stop here. Design of new curricula and courses. Affiliated college teachers and constituent college teachers will not get this provision to design and develop their curricula or offer new programs or courses. This is possible in universities and this is also possible in autonomous colleges. Autonomous college teachers have the autonomy or the freedom to design a new curricula and courses for which they get 2 marks. Because in affiliated colleges and constituent colleges, usually university constitutes a board of studies and board of studies designs and develops the curricula, and the role and responsibility of the teacher is only to deliver it in the classroom or transact it in the classroom. MOOCs content development. Development of complete MOOCs in 4 quadrants. Suppose you are an expert in MOOCs content development. Ah, hello.
ಸರ್
Hello.
ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್
Ah,
ಸರ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ
let me answer the queries. Let me answer the queries at the end of my presentation.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್ ಓಕೆ
Development of complete MOOCs in 4 quadrants, 20 marks. MOOCs of lesser credit, 5 marks. MOOCs developed in 4 quadrants per module, 5 marks. Content writer, subject matter expert for each module, 2 marks. Course coordinator for MOOCs 4 credit course. For example, you conduct a MOOCs course in your college and you are the coordinator. If you are a course coordinator for MOOCs program of 4 credit course, you get 8 marks. Or MOOCs of lesser credits, 2. Let me come to the e-content development. MOOCs is entirely a new and the recent phenomena. Let us not worry about it. So we are quite familiar with e-content, e-learning and e-content development. Development of e-content in 4 quadrants for a complete course, 12 marks. E-content development in 4 quadrants per module, 5 marks. Contribution to development of e-content module, 2 marks. Editor of e-content for complete course, 10. If your college is recognized as a research center, you are a research supervisor. So look at the marks. PhD, for a degree awarded 10 marks. You are a research supervisor and you have awarded a degree, PhD degree for one PhD student for which you will get 10 marks. Suppose it is ongoing. He or she has submitted only thesis for which we get 5 marks. For MPhil or PG dissertation, 2 marks. Look at this. UG colleges offering PG programs have an opportunity to get these 2 marks because dissertation is mandatory in the 4th semester for all PG programs, regardless of any discipline. So even for PG dissertation, we get 2 marks. This may not be possible for colleges offering only UG programs. But no regrets, there are many indicators. Research projects completed. So marks will depend upon the resources generated or the financial assistance that we receive. If I get financial assistance more than 10 lakhs, I get 10 marks. If it is less than 10 lakhs, 5 marks. Ongoing research projects. So you have submitted a research proposal, your proposal is accepted, and financial assistance has been sanctioned, but it is ongoing. More than 10 lakhs, 5, less than 10 lakhs, 2. Consultancy, 3 marks. So, an institute, university as a resource pool and our experience and expertise to other business organizations like HRD, HRM, or ICT, any a topic on any issue. Let me give you one simple example. One of my friends is working as an associate professor in Indian National Law University, Bangalore. He is a consultant for a multinational company. He is a technical law consultant for which he has generated 1 crore resource for his university. So resource sharing is another matter. 80% should go to the parent institution and 20% should go to the consultant. Patents. Every day we keep on talking about quality. We keep on talking about why our universities and colleges do not figure in international or world rankings. This is one of the reasons. All of us do PhDs. All of us undertake projects. But our findings no use for anyone because we do not have any patents. If you get an international patent, we get 10 marks. If you get a national patent, 7 marks. Please pay special attention to this. This is actually the meaning of quality. And look at the parameter set by the UGC, the high parameter, policy document. Let me speak only one sentence in Kannada with the permission of the non-Kannadigas. ನನ್ನ ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ಫಲಿತಗಳು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ, ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕರಿಗೆ, ಉದ್ಯಮಿಗಳಿಗೆ, ಉದ್ಯಮ ವಲಯಕ್ಕೆ, ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮಟ್ಟದ, ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ಮಟ್ಟದ, ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮಟ್ಟದ ನೀತಿ ನಿರೂಪಕರಿಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಅಂತಹ ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ಫಲಿತಗಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ ನೋಡಿ. If my research findings are useful to the policy shapers of UNO, UNESCO, IMF, World Bank, I get 10 marks. Look at the high parameter or benchmark set by UGC from each and every single one of us. If my research findings or works are useful to the policy shapers of central government, like new education policy, I get 7 marks. If my research findings are pretty useful to the policy shapers of state government, like Dr. D.M. Ranjindappa Commission, I get 4 marks. This is actually the meaning of quality. And this is one of the reasons why our institutions and universities do not figure in the world rankings of Times Higher Education or Simmons Cochrane. International, if you are a Nobel Prize winner, if you are a Booker Prize winner, we get 7 marks. If you are a recipient of national award like Kendra Sahitya Academy Award, we get 5 marks. Look at the high benchmarks and the parameters set by UGC. Invited lectures, resource person, paper presentation, papers presented and published as full papers will be counted only once.
ಏನ್ ಸಮಾಚಾರ ಸರ್?
Suppose an international seminar is conducted abroad.
ಆನ್ಲೈನ್
If
ಅಲ್ಲಿ
you are- Hello, somebody is talking. Somebody, please mute your laptop.
Sir, you can
If
proceed,
you are
sir.
an invited, if you are an invited resource person in an international seminar conducted abroad, we get 7 marks. If you are invited as a resource person in an international seminar conducted within the country, we get 5 marks. Resource person in a national seminar, 3 marks. Resource person at the state level or university level, 2 marks. Look at the impact factor. This is very clear. Let me come to publication. Joint publication, total value of publication for each, 7 marks. More than 2 authors, first or principal author gets 7 marks. Each of the joint authors get 3 marks. Joint projects, 5 marks each. Principal investigator and co-investigator, 5. Joint supervision of research students, first supervisor, 7, co-supervisor, 7. Please look at this. For the purpose of calculating research score, the combined research score from the categories of 5B, policy document, and invited lectures, resource person, or paper presentation shall have an upper capping of 30%. Which means I keep on presenting papers in state level seminars, national level seminars, and international level seminars, and keep on accruing my score. I keep on delivering lectures as an invited resource person in national and international level seminars. Suppose I have delivered 20 lectures in national and international level seminars and I have accumulated 200 marks. All those 200 marks will not be considered because look at this capping, 30%, which means only 60 marks out of 200 marks will be considered. Am I quite clear to you? The rationale behind this is we should contribute all of these.
Yes, sir, it is audible. It is audible,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So please pay attention to this capping. I am a very good resource person. People invite me. I go everywhere all the time and deliver lectures in international level seminars, national level seminars, state level seminars. And this year I have got 100 marks. Next year I get 100 marks. And the third year I get 300 marks. Even if I secure 300 marks only by delivering lectures in seminars, all the 300 marks will not be counted. Look at the capping. Only 30% will be taken into consideration. So I have accrued 300 marks by delivering lectures. As per this capping, only 90 marks will be counted. So please keep this in mind. So these are the documents that we need to present. Okay. Look at this 10 research publications. And I have shown you the indicator and the weightage. So friends, need not panic because you need not score all of those weightages. We just need 110 marks. Let us try to get 110 marks and promoted as associate professors. We have a long list of items and the weightages. Let us not panic. Let us not get annoyed or worried. Let us not take it very seriously because we need not score all of those weightages. UGC expects only 110 research score in order to be promoted as professor. let us we need not get first rank. Let us get 110 research score. So promotion, the teacher gets satisfactory or good grade in APRs of at least 2 of the last 3 as per appendix 2, table 2, at least 110 research score. Same criteria even for college principal eligibility. Professor or associate professor with a total service or experience of 15 years. Total service 15 years, not from the award of PhD degree. He or she should be either associate professor or professor with a total service or experience of 15 years as a permanent faculty in universities or colleges. Minimum 110 research score. Tenure. The tenure of a college principal is only for 5 years. So it's not a permanent post. Lean basis. It can be extended for another term of 5 years on the basis of performance assessment by a similar selection committee. First 5 we need to score 110 marks. Either he or she should be an associate professor or professor. We have to undergo all the formal procedures. After the completion of the term, he or she shall join back with the parent institution with the designation as professor. So this provision is made because our post as a principal is only on lean basis. We can come back to our lean colleges after the completion of 5 years, or if I secure 110 marks once again within a short span of 5 years, if I undergo the same procedure, I can be selected. My term can be extended for another term. Selection committee, same. Chairperson, yes. CC has made provision for vice principal and it is not a designated post. So let me stop here for your queries and questions, sir. Now over to you, sir, to the organizing team.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Let me stop here and take up queries.
yeah, sir. Sir, we are having a query from Clara Bharat. If anyone completed PhD in 4 years, when will he be eligible for senior scale L11?
Sir, pardon, sir. Please repeat.
If anyone completed PhD in 4 years,
Ah,
when will he be eligible for senior scale L11?
no. Your question is not very clear. Within 4 means a prior to his appointment or after his appointment?
They have just asked when they will be eligible for senior scale if they complete PhD.
No. The question is not clear.
Okay.
Complete 4 years prior to his
Yeah, sir.
appointment.
They have sent.
Or
If anyone join
in-service
as
PhD.
assistant professor, yeah,
After joining,
join as
after
assistant
joining,
professor and completed PhD after joining or, but before completing.
Ah,
for you.
completing 4 years. As per this UGC regulations, they say prior to your appointment. Suppose you complete your PhD after joining service, then it will be considered as in-service PhD. In-service PhDs will get only 3 advance increments. In-service PhDs will get only 3 advance increments. He or she is not entitled for any service relaxation. Am I quite clear to you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So any other questions you can send it in a chat box.
Okay. Immediately. Any queries?
Sir, we are having one more question.
Okay.
for CAS 2010, if for promotion,
I have got here another. I have got here another online FDP courses will have the same weightage as regular FDP. Yes, absolutely.
yes, sir.
Even UGC has introduced two types of FDP programs. One is face-to-face faculty development programs in UGC HRDCs. Another one is through or PIC or SWAYAM online. They have the same weightage, be it face-to-face or online.
Okay. I hope no more queries.
No more queries?
No more queries, I hope, sir.
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. Sir, somebody is speaking.
Please allow them to ask the questions by introducing themselves.
Yeah, sir. You can.
I want to clear my question.
Allow them to ask questions by introducing themselves.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Organizing.
Myself, Dr. Bharat Devda.
Okay.
Sir, I joined as assistant professor. That time I am pursuing PhD. But
Pursuing PhD. Okay. Okay.
after joining, after 1 year, I complete my PhD awarded. Now I want to know.
I got your question, sir. I got it.
As per joining, after 4 year, I eligible for L11.
That's what I am saying, sir.
Yeah.
It clearly says that prior to your appointment,
Yeah.
PhD plus net or SCLAT. If your eligibility criteria for appointment is either net or SCLAT, you are entitled to get advance increments at the entry level or 2 years service relaxation. So you have completed your PhD after joining the service, which means no service relaxation. You are eligible for 3 advance increments for PhD.
Okay.
Am I clear to you, sir?
There is one more question, sir.
Okay. Please introduce yourself.
Mahadev Mukashi from Mahadev Mukashi.
Okay.
They are asking it is possible for added college assistant professor to get a promotion as a professor at the college level.
What is this added college?
Aided college, maybe it is not added, it is aided college. Aided college assistant professor to get a promotion as professor.
Chart, ma'am.
They have put a message here, sir. Mahadev Mukashi.
Yes, UGC regulations is for both government as well as aided college teachers. Yes, they are also eligible. They are also eligible, ma'am.
After how many years, sir? That
Same regulation, same
regulations.
From associate professor, he or she has to complete 3 years of service with PhD.
Okay.
Yes. 3 years of service.
Same number of publications is required.
10.
10. Okay.
Out of 10, 3 should be in that assessment period only from associate to professor. 3 out of 10 must be from that assessment period from associate professor to professor.
Okay, sir.
Total 10, minimum score is 110.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
If there is participants, if there is any queries, you can ask, or you can drop a message in your chat box.
Yes, madam.
If you have any queries, here is my email ID and mobile number. You can contact me anytime, any mode.
Sir, we have one more query.
Okay.
Online FDP courses will have same weightage as regular FDP.
Yes, absolutely. Same weightage.
Okay.
Yes, we do have same weightage.
Sir, and
Am I audible to you, sir?
yes, sir, it is audible, sir. And is it possible added aided college assistant professor to get promotion as a professor?
Yes, provided he or she fulfills all the eligibility criteria.
Okay.
Same, there is no difference between government teacher and a private aided college teacher. Not
Okay.
for a purely private college, self-financing colleges.
Sir, and one more question. Difference between government
Okay.
degree professor and grant in aided college professors.
No difference. Same designation, same salary, same selection criteria.
Okay. So hope we have attended all the queries which was sent through chat box, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you all. I
Sir,
thank all the
you can-
participants for
Sir,
your
stop
for
sharing
giving
the
me
screen, sir, so
patiently.
that we will.
Oh, stop. Stop. Okay, sir.
Sir, please be live, sir. Please be live.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Kumar sir,
Ah,
Yes.
can you
okay. Okay.
Sir, now I will continue to
have
Professor Shalini MK to conduct to present the vote of thanks, sir.
Okay, sir. Yes. Presentation.
this is audible sir? Hello Kumar sir, can you please?
Yes, madam, I'm here.
Okay sir.
Yeah.
You please continue sir. Kumar
Yeah.
sir.
Well, good afternoon, one and all. I, Kumar, our Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, would like to propose vote of thanks. In the first place, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor K. Sajid, Associate Professor, Department of English, Government Science College, Bengaluru, the resource person of today's webinar, who enlightened all of us on new performance appraisal system and career advancement scheme through a wonderful session. Thank you very much, sir. It was a very informative one. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
I also would like to express my gratitude to our most extreme principal of Professor Soumya Irappa K for her continuous support, guidance, and assistance. Thank you, madam. A special thanks to all the participants from across the state for participating in this webinar and making it a grand success. A big thanks to all of you. I would like thank all those people who have worked behind in organizing this faculty development program. Thank you, one and all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, the
Can I end the
organizing
meeting,
team,
sir?
principal, and the staff. Okay, end it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you sir.
Thank you.